Feels a wee bit slack, this one. Think it needs a bit of adjustment?
Certainly it does. And apart from a bit of adjustment, I think we'll give it a bit of a clean up as well. There is a specific measurement that you need to adjust the chain to, and again there's a sticker on the rear here that tells you what the minimum chain slack should be.
Oh yeah.
And it's 35 millimetres.
35 millimetres.
A chain, when it's new, doesn't have any tight spots, but you need to ensure that your chain hasn't got a tight spot before you adjust it. Now what you need to do is just to continually go round, spinning the rear wheel and checking the tension on the chain. It should be fairly the same all the way round, but you can find tight spots in a chain.
So that may be where it's worn unevenly,
exactly.
one part's stretched, one part hasn't.
And if you've got a really bad tight spot, then it can sometimes lead to a replacement chain being necessary.
Okay.
Now I've just gone all the way around this, and there isn't a particular point in the chain where it's any tighter than anywhere else. And so I can make the adjustment to the chain pretty much wherever. But if I was to find a tight spot in the chain now, and it was, you know, like this, this is where I need to be making the adjustment.
Right, okay. So
not where it's at its slackest, because when it then comes round to the tight spot, you're really pulling the chain.
Extra loose,
So you need to check where your tight spot is before you make your adjustments. There are no tight spots in this. The chain is healthy, it's worth cleaning, and we can adjust it. So we'll go on to clean it now. Again, there's loads of commercially available cleaners that you can use. Give it a good old soak in.
Just try to get rid of the old lubricant and any sort of gunge that's built up on it.
And I'm going to give it a bit of a brush just to agitate the dirt. Just a small word of warning with regards to wiping the chain. Don't do it from round here, because you stand a good chance of getting your fingers caught between the chain and the sprocket. Always do it from the free length there.
Yeah. I've seen people doing it with the engine running as well. That's a no-no, I think, isn't it?
Absolutely. There you go.
Amazing.
Right, but now I've cleaned all the chain up, I want to actually lubricate it before I make the adjustment, and the reason that we do that is to ensure that all the links are free and that we haven't got any tight spots in the chain or any tight links or anything. So I'm going to lubricate the chain now, and Honda recommend a Hypoid 80-90 gear oil to lubricate their chains, but it's entirely up to you what you use, whether you use a chain spray, but this is the recommended for Honda. And all we do is we quite simply allow the oil to trickle on the chain. And then we just brush that gently into all the rollers. I've just done that on the top rail, I'll just do it on the bottom as well. Just gently rub that into the rollers. And that's a nicely lubricated chain. Okay, once we've lubricated the chain with the gear oil, what we do tend to do within the press workshop here is just to put some chain wax over the top of that, and what it tends to do is it seals the oil within the chain because the wax goes hard and it stops it throwing off.
That's a clever one.
So we'll just do a couple of squirts of this. And there you go. When that dries, and it'll take 10 minutes or so to dry, it'll dry nice and thick, and it'll keep that coating on there. Right, once the chain's nicely lubricated, I guess we want to make the adjustments to it now. Tighten it up. And quite simply, you get a ruler, and again, it tells you on the chain guard that there's 35mm is the recommended suggested free plate in your chain. Now if you get your ruler and you put that to a fixed point at the bottom of your swing arm and then pull your chain down, and you can see how much slack there is. So at the moment it drops down to just about 80 millimetres, and if you push it all the way up, it's going all the way up to 30. So there's about 50 millimetres of movement in the chain at the moment, and we want 35.
Too much.
So we need to take at least 15 mil out of that.
Okay.
So we can do that now by adjusting the chain. Well, we know our chain's a bit slack, so we need to now make the adjustment to the chain. We know we've got no tight spots, so it doesn't matter where we make the adjustment to the chain now at this point, as long as we've got the right measurement. These are the chain adjusters, and all you need to do is withdraw the wheel slightly back in the swing arm to take up the slack in the chain. And again, you just get your ruler and make sure that you've got the right amount of free play, which is 35 millimetres from all the way down to all the way up. You've got 35 millimetres of movement within the chain. So we now know that the chain adjustment's right. What we need to do now is to ensure that the wheel alignment's right, and to do that we need to adjust it on the other side. Now we've got marks on the chain here, and we've also got marks on the swing arm. Now you can ideally just line one up with the other, and hopefully you're going to be somewhere near right with the wheel alignment. So I just need to go and adjust the other side to bring it in line with this.
So we adjusted both sides with the same amount, so in theory the wheel should be straight in line as it was before?
Absolutely. We've made sure that we've got the right amount of slack this side, we've checked the chain adjuster markers, and we've gone around the other side and we've made sure that they're exactly the same. So at that point you can obviously do the wheel up. We have the privilege of being in a workshop like this, that we've got a piece of equipment which is probably slightly more accurate than the standard adjusters on the bike, and this is a laser equipment that we can attach to the bike and ensure that the rear wheel is in perfect alignment with the front.
Yeah. I've seen some dealers have got this equipment. I've seen them using it.
Yep, dealers have got this.
You could pop down there for a check if you wanted.
If you wanted to make sure it was absolutely perfect, then you could go to your dealer and get this done. Yeah. I'll just install this on the bike and I'll show you how it works. Okay, that's installed, and that's as quick as that. Once we've got the equipment on, we turn the lasers on, and what we need to do is to get the front of the machine in line with the rear at the moment. Yeah. A bit more to the left to you.
Six and a half.
So we need to give that a tiny bit of a tweak. Okay. Once we've got it exactly accurate at the front, all we need to do now is to tighten up the rear axle to the specified torque. And that's it, perfect chain adjustment.
Torque wrench again used there?
Absolutely.
Yep.
You can never be too sure about making sure that you've got it tightened up to the right torque setting.
What would the disadvantage be if you didn't have the rear wheel aligned correctly?
There's several. I mean, it'll obviously depend as to how much it's out, but
a little bit.
A little bit probably you aren't going to notice too much, other than you may have some irregular wear on your tyre, but it's going to be the feel of the bike and how it rides. It won't necessarily ride straight if you've got the wheel out of alignment, and so it won't track straight. The bike will feel slightly different. Just a quick check to check the cush drive rubbers out. If you can go round and hold your hand on the rear brake lever and lock the brake. And then you can move this sprocket carrier in the wheel from side to side, and there's no excessive movement in there whatsoever. If the rubbers become worn and soft, then you get a lot of movement in here, and you're going to get a lot of clunky take up of drive when you roll on and off the throttle. You're going to get a lot of backlash, and you're going to get a lot of noise and a lot of movement. Chances are, if it's not your chain, it's going to be your cush drives in there that are worn out.
It's not a big job to change those, is it? Just
not a big job. Once you've got your rear wheel out, that sprocket carrier comes straight out the wheel. You can just put your new rubbers in, sprocket carrier back on, wheel back in, job done.
Brilliant.